drug abuse, cancer,
measles, diabetes, AIDS.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome again, this time to our Doctor on Call program. It is our final program for the year, and of course, this evening we will be talking a bit about Christmas and, of course, your health, because we do know at Christmas time we tend to indulge a little more than normal. And, based on some of the things that we do at Christmas time and some of the things that we enjoy at Christmas time, it's not very friendly to our health, especially when it comes to conditions like diabetes, hypertension, and so on. All right, so we have to be very careful, and so we will be talking a bit about that this evening, just to sort of remind you. I mean, these are things that we talk about on a regular basis on the program, ensuring that you maintain your wellness. But we are going to spend some time chatting with you about that, about your consumption patterns, and try to get you to understand the importance of always doing what you're supposed to do. Of course, Doc is with us as always, and we're joined this evening by no stranger to a program, Mrs. Lydia Brown, and so we're looking forward to having a wonderful discussion this evening. We welcome all our viewers on GBN Television 7 and 11, and also our listeners on K105 FM, and our friends on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. It is a pleasure and welcome. Doc, good evening, and it's such a pleasure to see you. You look like Christmas in your red and all of that. You look very, very, very wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks. We've been having a lot of rain, so
yes,
maybe there's going to be a time when I'm not going to hear when the bullets of raindrops start falling on my roof. But good evening and thank you. I'm trying to feel Christmassy. This is not my favorite time of the year for many reasons. But there are people who enjoy Christmas, and I hope
I do.
I hope for two things. You do?
Oh.
I hope for two things. I hope one, that will reflect on whether we be naughty or nice this year, and how we're going to make next year better. Because there's always room for improvement. It doesn't matter who we are.
Yes, indeed. Well, Mrs. Brown is with us. We've been having some challenges with her connection, but I hope it's worked. Mrs. Brown, good evening. Are you able to hear us? And I hope your audio is in order now.
I am able to hear you. I'm not sure whether you are able to hear.
Very soft.
Yeah, we're hearing you, but very, very distant. But we'll have to work and make things happen. Hopefully, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. But it's a pleasure to have you back. It's been quite a while. Your presence on the program is long overdue. So it's a real pleasure having you on this evening, especially having to discuss what we plan to this evening. So, Doc, I think we should start with you. We are into the Christmas season, well into the Christmas season. In fact, Christmas is what? Just about, how many days away? About
8 days away.
8 days away. And I'm sure as you move around, people are doing their making the necessary preparations for that day, the baking, the all of that, all of the wonderful things. And it's, for me, I love Christmas, and I did say so. I love Christmas. It sort of gives you a special kind of feeling that it makes you feel that you just like everybody. You feel good about everything. Nothing can bother you.
Let me see if you like me and bring my golden apple for me that you promised.
Yeah, listen, I like you enough that I can.
Apple, that will make my Christmas.
Oh yeah, you'll get your golden apples, all right. You'll get your golden apples, all right. But
before we get into the whole Christmas thing, I want us to reflect a little. Just a little. I said, have we been naughty or nice? I know a lot of people listen and to this program here under the diaspora, so I'm saying hello to everybody and good evening. We did a lot of talking this year, and I wonder how many people heard us and how many people made a change. We asked people to always take one something out of this every time we're on. If you take one of this, you'd have had at least 20 changes you could have made in your life, at least 20 in the last year. I get scared when I listen to the obituaries. I don't want people to die. On condolences and all respect to their families, but I'm hearing too many young people dying. I sat down for 5 minutes and I heard 3-4 young people, 40s and in their 40s and under, and even 60s is premature death. So we kind of need to pinch ourselves. I want us to reflect. We talked a lot about chronic disease in particular. We spoke about climate and how it affects our lives, and how it's going to continue to affect our lives. All right. So I don't know if when we wash this week, if we won't have dry clothes away for Christmas because everything keeps getting wet on the line.
We adapt, Doc. We adapt. We wear wet clothes.
No, it's close to dry inside because my house is so hot it's not even funny. So we had a lot of things that we brought up in relation to well-being. The issue of front of package warning labels, which was very topical earlier in the year.
Indeed.
Even from last year, but we spoke a lot of it. We spoke about childhood obesity ad nauseum. We just talked a lot about it, and that is going to be one of the big conversations that will continue. Cancer was really a challenge for us and continues to be our number one cause of death. And we spoke about cancer all of October. Diabetes we looked at in November. Like climate change on its own. But a lot of things we've been talking about. And I really hope people spend a little time reflecting on what they've heard. I know the ministry has been trying to implement its HEARTS initiative, streamlining how we manage hypertension. They're supposed to be doing diabetes as well. We've had a lot of lectures as health professionals, from a lot of information shared by Dr. Matthias, who is a diabetologist. That's his area. He does endocrine work, but diabetes is his baby. Okay? We've seen a whole lot of stuff. We talk about sickle cell. We talk about a lot of things this year. And we're probably going to have a lot more to talk about. The Mali song, them about tired for see we face.
Yes.
Have that responsibility to continue to enlighten the public. But we're not here for entertainment. We're really here to share a really serious message, sometimes in a very light-hearted way, but there's nothing that we say is frivolous. I think we've come now to the point where you have to hear what you hear and figure out, how am I going to make this information a part of my daily life?
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to make this information? There's a very significant thing that happened this year in relation to childhood obesity and the Chronic Disease Commission. And I want to share it again because we talked about it on Saturday in another forum. So the commission was looking at children and the challenges for food in school and what they have and what they don't have, and just trying to prevent and mitigate as far as possible the development of chronic disease in other population. And of course, through this, by looking at obesity as a disease that it is, and at the same time a risk factor for other severe diseases. So they went to a certain school, and the kids really didn't know how to skip very well. And skipping rope is probably the cheapest thing, because I don't know where you get your skipping rope from as a child. There used to be a big old thick vine across the river that we could scratch your foot on. But every Sunday we go back and cut. They used to call it manja kosher. That's why I know it as, right? Rope. And we skip on the road. Sunday was the time to skip on the road, but we skip in school. Something that's cheap, that's inexpensive and affordable. Everybody will piece a clothesline that break that they can use, rope, whatever it is. And if you live where they have the little fine vine or other thick vines, in the country in particular, we can skip. Cheap, ready anytime you're ready, and fun, especially on a rope tie up your foot. But, there are things, very simple things we can do to prevent us being ill. We spoke a lot about nutrition, and Mrs. Brown is going to substantiate this, but a lot about nutrition and some of the things that we've let creep into our diets, like pasta. I'm tired of rolling my eyes at that word because that's just dumpling in a box, okay? Flour and water. And then if you're going to have ramen that has been banned by the government of Mexico, that is not being given to their children. There's a salt. They use monosodium MSG, monosodium glutamate, which can make your blood pressure go up. Plus the oily thing that they have in there put you at risk for developing cholesterol. Plus other toxic things that they use to preserve the food. And while it's convenient and probably affordable to put a child's belly, it doesn't give him the nutrition that he needs. We're going to have to include the other agencies like the Ministry of Agriculture and whatever programs they have. That's some of the things we're going to have to do in the new year. What you guys doing? Oh, how many schools have a little farm, right? We're going to have to include the Ministry of Finance and Trade as to how much money are we spending on bad food for ourselves. Buying sodas from overseas. We make sodas here, not the substance, but buying sugar-sweetened beverages, all of those pretty color boxes that have absolutely no nutritional value for our children. So those are some of the things we're going to have to look forward to. But before we get to all of these crazy things that continue, vaping. We're going to see our kids vaping, and we're going to buy their little vape for the Christmas with the money that they save up, and they're going to be inhaling all of that hot air with some toxin that's going to break up their lungs and make it look like popcorn. So I hope parents and grandparents are listening, okay? It's a very easy to hide little instrument, right? You think it's just a flash drive or a pen or something, right? And while vaping have its place in assisting people who want to discontinue smoking, that's not what's happening with our children. But it also almost presents a gateway for our children to smoke tobacco, right? So we have legislation on tobacco, but we're supposed to be upgrading our legislation. So all of those things are going to come out next year. Vaping might seem innocuous because it smells like strawberry and it tastes like bubble gum and whatever it is. I don't care. It's bad. Okay, it is bad for our children. Even if there's no nicotine in there, it is bad for your lung tissue, especially our young children who do not know that they're damaging their little soft tissue in their lungs, and that cannot be replaced. So there are a lot of things we want us to look forward. In the interim, however, let's treat Christmas better. I think it's a good time to start. I think Christmas is a good place to start and give to ourselves something really good, and that is a promise for good health. So that's right. That's my long introduction.
All right, lovely. So, Mrs. Brown, let's bring her in. It's Christmas, and of course, people, we all go to the extremes. I'm not excluding myself, but I am quite aware, so I pay attention. But we all go to the extreme at Christmas time. All the different types of cakes, the black cake, the fruit cake, the cherry cakes and all of that, together with the wines and the meats, different type of meats. And I mean, on Christmas Day you have a massive spread, and whether or not people should or shouldn't is definitely up to them. But I do believe there are warnings and there's advice that people need to follow so that they can, at the end of it all, don't have to end up in hospital or have to increase the medication or all of these things that they probably would wish wouldn't happen. So, Mrs. Brown, I do believe that yes, you can have exciting meals, you can have exciting drinks, but you can have all of that in a way that would not seriously compromise your health. And on that note, this is where I want to bring you into to continue the conversation.
Well, I sure hope that you're able to hear me now.
I'm hearing you a lot better. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Pleasant good night to you and to Dr. Nixon and the listeners.
And you look like Christmas.
Indeed.
I try very much to fall in line. No, we all know that the holiday, we all know the challenges that the holiday season comes. But a lot of people, besides approaching the addressing the challenges, a lot of people during the course of the year have absolutely made strides towards doing better for themselves, whether they have a disease that they're dealing with or whether they're not there yet and they're trying to prevent a disease from coming on. They've done a lot of work. We see a lot of exercising. We have exercise groups all over the place. We have gyms. To go to a gym is so crowded. And so people are actually making an effort. However, when it comes to the holiday season, this is where we tend to let our guard down. We feel that it's a time of year when it's one time of year that I'm doing this, so it's okay. And there are some things in life that if you do it one time a year, it's okay, such like drinking alcohol. But when you decide to just put aside everything that you've done, everything that you've learned, Dr. and Paul is going on every week, everything that you've heard on there, you've chosen to put it aside just because it's the festive season. And the festive season is a good couple of weeks or maybe 3 weeks, starting into November to celebrate Christmas. And so all the different foods, maybe people bringing things on the job, gifts are being given. They come in a bottle, you know. They come in the form of a cake. They come in the form of some type of candies or some type of pastries, or you know, there are a number of things out there that people may tend to bring around the workplace during this time of year, and we just let down our guard. What I have seen and I can testify to is that when the holiday season is finished, the hospital does not have capacity to hold the number of people who need to be treated at a secondary level of care. And then we get on the media, we go to the newspapers, and we said, oh, my mama, my uncle, my brother is in the hospital, they have him on a chair, and they don't have anywhere to put him, and we are not paying attention to what we have done. What is our contribution to the fact that the hospital does not have capacity to hold the number of people that are there? Hospital was holding people that needs to be hospitalized during the course of the year. So what happened in January? Did we have a population explosion? Or did we just indulge a little too much over the holiday season? And so now we put in an added burden onto the system, which places us in a very uncomfortable setting, because if you have to be hospitalized, you need to have a comfortable bed. And your environment don't need to be so clustered. You need to be able to feel that you're in a healing environment. And when the hospital is crowded, it's not really that healing, that feeling of getting better. Right? It can be depressing at times when you see the number of people are there. So, Godfrey, we know that the holiday season is characterized by a lot of festive foods and indulgent beverages. That is something we don't pay particular attention to. We know the food, but beverages. Do not pay attention to the number of calories that you're drinking. If someone asks you what you had for lunch, you'll say, oh, I bought that this, what did you have? Rice and peas, macaroni pie, or potato salad, and potato salad, some provision, and I had some chicken, and I had a little salad. Rarely would you have someone say, and I had a 20-ounce drink.
Right.
Because the drink is not considered part of the meal. It's just by the way.
Just a drink.
So much more than we're paying attention to, that it's escalating what the food in itself can do and getting into our bloodstream. The body has taken much time to grind and churn, so that it's already liquid. It's like pre-digested.
Yeah.
So handle it a lot faster. Right? And we also have to look at not just the caloric take us beverages. But alcohol, this time of year is when alcohol sales. I don't know if alcohol sales or at Christmas or during COVID, but because the grocery shelves were practically empty where alcohol sits during COVID. I wonder why people were afraid they would run out. But alcohol is something that we have to take particular attention to, not only caloric content, but in fact it can have chronic conditions like that, like high blood pressure, strokes. That is on one of our top causes of death here in contributed to chronic intake over the years, cancers like breast cancer, like cancers of the gastrointestinal tract. These type of things that we have to think about and think not just for Christmas, but think in the long term. What are the effects of what we actually do just small part of
Right. So, Doc, let me bring you in here. Mrs. Brown made some very, very interesting and significant observations. The one about the drink in particular, because usually, and I think men in particular, they're even guiltier because they would buy 3, 4, and you're liming, you're talking, and you're going. And as Ms. Brown said, not realizing that, hey, you don't have to chew that. It's ready-made for you. You bend the elbow and down it goes.
Down the hatch, right?
Definitely. And I don't think we realize how much, as Mrs. Brown said, we are taking in terms of calories. In addition to the food that we already
food.
Yes, indeed.
And remember that it's not just in one place, right? You actually migrate. We visit Auntie, and she have the steep sorrel. She might be drinking a nice like a Christian lady, but she put a little pep in the sorrel, and then you go to your sister-in-law's house, and her husband having some, and you go to your mother's house, and there's something, and as we migrate and we consume, or we just meet to consume, and often drinks become a center of all of it. Here, what is my problem on top of all of that? The fact that we introduce our children in a very subtle way to consume alcohol. And I ask every year, where did you first consume alcohol? At home, most likely. Christmas cake that is dosed with alcohol. So even as a child, you're given a sliver of cake. But if you're prone to consume to be an alcoholic, here is your start, right? And even though you might have a cabinet full of alcohol and you don't consume, you will eat a piece of cake. Or you get some sorrel that have alcohol in it. We start our children very early without recognizing. But the law also says that you cannot provide alcohol for anybody under 18 years of age. Yet our parents and our grandparents and everybody does it. Or they give a little bit of beer or something in a glass,
Punch of cream and all of that. That's a very popular thing at Christmas time. The punch of cream, which is, it's
punch of cream,
a lot of alcohol.
Right. So we have to be very careful. Not only in an adult population, the overconsumption of alcohol, the fact that we are introducing our young people to enjoy alcohol, right? And that enjoyment comes at almost every gathering, including when they start hanging with their friends, and they will consume alcohol as well. And if we know, and Mrs. Brown did mention some of the diseases, cancers, heart problems, etc. If we know that there is, if we know that you're going to develop hypertension and diabetes and all the rest, and we start giving our children alcohol so early, go figure how much earlier we predisposing them, how much earlier we actually predisposing them to consuming alcohol, to get into the habit of consuming alcohol, and therefore promote whatever diseases alcohol consumption gets. will cause. So we also have to look at that, because we have to think about diseases, prevention of disease at any juncture where we get an opportunity. And yes, we can have a nice Christmas, but we don't need to get nice after we finish. You know, you get sweet after we've been having after we finish the festivities. Moderation is very good, is what we need to practice in everything. And above all, please, because you want to drink, don't stop taking medications. If you're taking medications and you can't have alcohol, you're going to have to fall past the alcohol. You're going to have to let the alcohol go its way, because it's more important for us to take our medication. Also remember that this is a kind of stressful time. You know, you have to go there, especially people who are coming to visit. We have a lot of challenges with people who come to visit who don't get to go back to where they live, where they come from, because they get ill, they end up in hospital and all the rest. I heard Mrs. Brown talk about the amount of people that end up going to hospital, and that's not good for us. On a good day, it's already bad. So try to imagine this season of festivities when people get very ill, and because of whatever, whether it's they're consuming alcohol, they're not sleeping, they're not taking their medications, they're eating too much sugary foods. We have to be very cautious in order to preserve our life, because January tends to be very hard on most people. You remember when you're a child and your father bring home a sweet drink? I don't know how many children in your family. I remember my father would so often buy us a chicken snack, which is really a 2-piece, okay? With a salad, decent salad he used to have, with a salad and some fries, right? But it was important, it was intriguing, because we didn't eat fried chicken and fries every day. So probably once a quarter, my father would bring home a chicken snack. Ooh, glory, hallelujah. And we all sit down to eat this one chicken snack, all 5 of us, and the one soda. And I was reminding some people on Saturday how we used to take shot glasses. Liquor glass, you can't, unless you put a lot of ice in your glass and sit down and make the Coke look like whatever soda. Usually it was Coca-Cola. And you would make it long. You make it look like enough. But one soda shares for 5. In our population today, one child drinks up to 4 sodas a day. Go figure. Hence, we have all the challenges we have. Childhood obesity that starts very early, leading to adult obesity, but also in that transition, leading to us having development of chronic diseases. So you find young adolescents young people, adolescents and up, with high cholesterols, high blood sugars, high tension, hypertension, obesity, and challenges that make their future look significantly dim. So don't let Christmas be the time when you jump off the deep end and take all the chances.
Right.
With what? The other thing is that in relation to alcohol is the issue of safety on the road. We probably heading for 70,000 cars on the road.
Yeah.
Let's say 65. I'm going to be very conservative, because some people like me probably won't be on the road, but I consider myself a very careful driver. If you have alcohol in your system, that really disinhibits you. It makes you lose all your control, lose your reasoning, lose your executive decision making, right? Alcohol does that. After a couple drinks, it doesn't have to be the whole bottle. So even for the people who claim, I can hold my rum, I can hold my liquid, my alcohol, that is not necessarily so when it comes to having to make big decisions. And it's very rainy now. The roads are wet. If we're going to come down, you're going to cross a bridge and you mightn't see the bridge. And a lot of things may happen that might not be fun for the young drivers in the night, especially for the people who are visiting for the first time, or people who come home and have a rental and feel, they can be disinhibitive about how they drive, because if I have an accident, is not my car. It would be a shame for us to lose any of our young people, or even people having accidents and being maimed in this season. So I don't know about drinking responsibly. I don't know where that come from. That's a tagline that the alcohol companies have made to mislead us.
Ms. Brown, I want to come back to you. Now, I am sure that you will not be opposed to people enjoying themselves a little bit at Christmas time, especially as it relates to their little fancy preparations, because they'll go out and they would do a little extra and prepare what they would consider as their finest meal for Christmas, and I believe, and I think you would agree, it's okay, but there is a difference, or there should be.
No, you cannot remove the boundaries that must exist for comfortable human existence. Okay, you can eat all the food and drink all the rum and all the rest. And on top of it, young people get a designated driver. Somebody, if you're going to party for 5 days, John, you drive tonight. Mark, you drive tomorrow night. Petra, you drive the third night. Do you understand? So there's somebody who knows that, hey, Wednesday night, I'm not drinking any rum. I can't have any alcohol because I take everybody home safely. Okay, because you're going to need to be very alert in this time.
Okay, lovely. So, yeah, Mrs. Brown, back to you. I was saying that I don't think you'll be opposed to people...
And Mrs. Brown.
Yeah, doing their little fancy stuff. But there is a thin line that should be considered when it comes to the consumption of that. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Can I chime in here? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important when we say people don't not drink excessively or drink responsibly. I think people sometimes don't even understand what it means to have what a drink.
Did we lose her?
Yeah, I think we lost her there for a moment. We lost her there for a moment.
I'm not hearing her very loud. And I think maybe if I understand what she's been saying, is talking about the limitation on drinking because of how you respond. The individual response to alcohol is very important. Mm-hmm. Yeah, people say, "Oh, I can hold my liquor." Wait until you see 3 lights coming towards you. I'm serious. Or a tree coming towards you, right? If you're gonna drink, you should not get behind the wheel. There are countries that have other things. I know they have the dry out thing that Netherlands has had. You can't drive enough. You have to sleep and wait till next morning, right? It's a good initiative, but I know other countries who will put a bus like at the discotheque, and everybody has to mount the bus and home. Park your car. We'll take care of the cars, and they'll take people home, right, and take them home safely. We don't want. And then the other thing is that apart from not being able to drive, just being there and becoming belligerent and getting into fights and the possibility of being injured and all of that, Christmas should be a happy time, but not a time where you lose your control over yourself because you want to practice so much hedonism. I just want it to be nice. I'll go nice up myself. I'll go drink. That's and you're going to drink like that to stay at your house and fall in your bed and sleep. And also, one of the things I find very dehumanizing is you're being drunk and being sick on the road, vomiting, losing all control, and being put in a position to be compromised. You get home, you don't know who you slept with or who slept with you.
That's it.
You don't know. Right, the fact that we do have rise in HIV and other sexually transmitted diseases, things like HDLV1, which is not HIV, but which can predispose you to have lymphomas and leukemia. We have to understand that there must be some responsible behavior that we're going to have to practice in order to protect ourselves.
Yes, indeed. In fact, you mentioned the promiscuous behavior, and I was going to, bring that to your attention. And it's something that can lead to people feeling bad about themselves for a very, very, very long time, all because you did not exercise, good judgment. And it's something I always say: wherever you are, it's important to always be aware of your surroundings. What is happening around you? You should be aware, not be in a situation
and
where you don't know.
Aware. Not just I know I'm in a discotheque, or I know I'm down at wherever it is playing, playing a game or playing dominoes with guys. You must be very aware of all of your presence. And the other thing is that you have your dignity, like you say. to take it up and walk home. There's no need to be drunk and high and out of control, and somebody will scrape you up and take you home and bathe you because you're all vomited and whatever else. There's no need for that. That's not enjoyment. That's really stress and putting yourself out there in ways to be embarrassed by other people. And it also kind of takes away from your authority and power in your workplace, in your community. When people see you as a drunk on the street, right, and you can't go back to the church because pastor will read you out. I'm saying that I'm laughing, but I don't mean to belittle anybody.
No, but it's a very serious issue, very, very serious matter.
It's an issue. The whole psychosocial reasoning behind why we're drinking and doing that. There's no need to be hedonistic. And I tell you guys that every day. You cannot empty the vat at Wester Hall, not Clarkscourt. Nobody can empty. There's just obviously rainfall, more cane grow, right? There's always more alcohol than anybody can drink. Okay. Unfortunately for us in the Caribbean, we drink 40% of the alcohol that we consume, 40% of the alcohol that we produce. When there are bigger markets where people drink less than us, so people are afraid to drink our rum because it's so hot. It's so strong.
And they make more rum than us.
So much more revenue into the country.
And they make more rum than us.
And they make more about our rum quality is the bomb. There's something about the Caribbean.
I don't know about rum quality.
Literally would have gone to all from one place to the other, right? And so I walked up to that couple and said, "Did you guys have a nice time today?" And they said, "Oh yes." And then the guy has to use his hand to figure out where the seat is on the wall, right? And he says, "Come, tell me something. What do you guys put in your rum punch?" I said, "Rum." Trust me, that rum punched him out. They stay in the sea for most of the day and order the rum punches, right? And somebody had to head them out of the ocean because they couldn't walk to the sea, walk to the shore, go figure. All right? That's not fun.
It is not. And you get to realize it's not fun after the fact. When you have to be carried home and the next day you have a headache that wouldn't go away, and all of these things. I mean, there's so much that can happen that makes you uncomfortable, that it's really not worth it. But I wanted to, and we've lost Miss Brown. We do apologize, folks, for that. There's quite a lot of rain outside, and it's interfering with our connection a bit. But Doc, I was saying to Miss Brown, at Christmas time, yes, we do go to extremes. We prepare a lot of food, all of that, different meats and so. And maybe it's okay. It's all fine to do that. But I think we need to consider.
I think it brings a sense of gratitude and gratefulness and an accomplishment. I've done so much this year. Let me treat myself and my friends and my family. Let's all come together and be grateful. And Christmas is a time of joy and newness, and we think of Jesus coming and, Jesus the Savior coming, and our whole life changed because of Christmas, right? And we're not going to argue whether Christmas is December 25th or not, Jesus' birth. But that's what we're celebrating, something that brings hope and light into the world. We don't have to be dark about it.
So I'm thinking here. I mean, look, in this day and age, almost everyone has a refrigerator in their home. So, you prepare all these fancy meals. You don't have to sit on it everything one time, in one day.
Boy, let me tell you something. There's so many people out there who can't. We have 40% of our population poor. There's so many people who will not have those big meals on Christmas Day. And if we were to look for a couple of people in our community, we don't have no food to put in our fridge. Okay? This is also a time when we share, when we make sure that all of us feel like how I want to feel, or how I feel. Go out there and find somebody to share that bounty with, that blessing that you've been given. This is a good time to share. You'd be surprised at how many people would not have anything, like how I'm not cooking. Somebody have to make sure they give me food. But there are people out there who simply cannot afford. I don't have to cook. I can go to my friends' houses. But there are people who cannot afford to buy more than the chicken back and some flour. Right? Or they get 2 grain of fig. There are people who need and who will very well appreciate that you take a little pot of food out to their house, right? And say, look, Merry Christmas to you and your children. See some, some ginger beer or something else, enjoy this, because there are people who cannot afford. So we have to keep in mind that, and the kind of gratitude you feel after you've shared what you have with somebody, that is also enjoyable. That is also very fulfilling, because that's what we look to say. That's what we try to say. Thank you, God, I've been able to do this. But when you can do it with somebody else, is even better. Invite somebody to your house, or go down to the community center and take half a meal down there and share. There are lots of people who don't have nothing. Sell it discreetly if people are thing. But we don't need to practice. Some of us practice gluttony, and which is what is not good. We have to eat everything that we see.
And this is where I was going. This, in terms of, preparing all of that, you can enjoy it over a period. The enjoyment
over
is even the enjoyment. Yes, that's the enjoyment is even more. You can. Keep that taste going over a period of days. Nothing is wrong with it. So you have very. It'd be nice.
Apologize that she can't get back on.
Yeah. So you can have small portions. So you might have different meats. You can have small portions of them. Small portions of the different pies that you probably make and all of that. And then of course you don't forget your green vegetables, which is so very important. So all of these things, yes, it can be done, and it's encouraged at Christmas time, keeping that tradition, that part of this thing alive, and remembering the purpose and importance. But use small portions, keep yourself healthy, take your medication, so that at the end of Christmas, the hospital isn't overcrowded. Yeah.
And the other things now that you talk about end of Christmas, during Christmas, if you already have some illness like diabetes and hypertension, it is important that you monitor this thing. It's not going to go away, because them don't take Christmas. They don't take Christmas vacation. They will take you away at Christmas vacation if you're not smart. Right? They don't take Christmas holidays. So we have to be able to conquer all of those things that can be bad for us by being disciplined, and sometimes the discipline requires that you partner with somebody else, right? Look, we both diabetics. Let's see, how do you normally do this? Or here's how I do this, and we share, right? And we cook healthy foods, because you can cook healthy, nice food enough.
Yes.
Okay. Healthy foods. We do the portion sizes. We do a little walk in the morning. You get up in the morning. You go for 20 minutes walk. Exercise. Make sure you still take care of yourself. Make sure you take care of your nails, your toes, the things that can be easily affected. But you have to be judicious. You have to live within the portions. The same kind of portions you eat when it's not Christmas, you have to eat. It's the same portions you have to apply. What you're eating is probably different food, and you have to realize that. Yeah, you're gonna eat a piece. I'm not telling anybody not to eat Christmas cake, but guess what? You don't have to eat the whole pan of cake. A little sliver, and because you've had all that sweet and the flour and stuff, you eat more food, more vegetable, and a protein, right? But it means that you can't go down and eat scalloped potato and pasta, pie, macaroni pie, pasta Alfredo, and all the things that on a good day are bad for us. You actually really have to be very disciplined. But if you practice discipline throughout the year, it should be easier at Christmas, because there are things I shouldn't have, or I shouldn't have large portions of. But you also need to maintain that balance by consuming less, avoiding alcohol, exercising and taking your medication, and of course avoiding stress, which Christmas brings for us.
Yes, indeed. So, Doc, let's take a short break, and we'll come back in just a moment. Hopefully, we would probably get Ms. Brown back to talk a bit more about potions and so. So stay with us, folks. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
Yeah.
Drug abuse, cancer,
measles, diabetes, AIDS, cancer,
drug abuse, cancer,
measles, diabetes, AIDS.
When you need your prescription filled or you require non-prescribed medication, supplements, or all your personal needs, visit Gittins Healthcare at locations on Wall Street, Grandans, Victoria Street, Brandon, and Central Deputy Street, Wall. Gittins Healthcare aims to provide an exceptional personalized pharmacy experience. Additionally, children under 5 and adults 55 years and over will enjoy 10% discount on purchases of $20 and over on prescription medication. Stop settling for less. Visit Gittins Healthcare, where your health is our priority.
Looking to shop online from your favorite stores like Amazon and Shein? With GPC Global, it's never been easier. Get your very own US address and shop from around the world. With GPC Global, you can order the latest trends and must-have items, all delivered straight to Grenada to your closest post office for your pickup. We offer the cheapest rates, and our service is reliable and quick. No more waiting for weeks for your packages. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Join the Grenada Postal family today and start shopping smarter. Visit us online at www.grenadapostal.com or call us on 437-POST. That's 437-7678. GPC Global, your gateway to the world.
Welcome to the Super 6 Draw presentation for this evening, Tuesday, the 17th of December, 2024. I am your hostess, Kijan Smith. Super 6 is a multi-jurisdictional game owned by Winlot Inc. and is played within the islands of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, Grenada, and St. Lucia. Tonight's jackpot is valued at $240,000. We'll now get ready to select your free ticket letter. Good luck. Your free ticket letter is E. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back with tonight's winning numbers.
More jackpot money, more reasons to play this game. More money for way. Super 6 a bigger jackpot game.
Now you love Super 6 even more. With more money,
the jackpot galore.
Play more,
win more, have more fun.
With more jackpot money,
Super 6 is my number one.
With the new and improved Super 6 team, the jackpot keep growing and growing
and growing.
More jackpot money, more reasons to play this game. More money for way. Super 6 a bigger jackpot game. Super 6, bigger jackpots, more chances to win.
Welcome back. Get ready for your Super 6 winning numbers. Good luck. The first number is 25. The second number is 7. The third number is 27. To recap, your Super 6 winning numbers are 25, 7, 10, 19, 4, 27. Your free ticket letter is E. Tonight's winning numbers were drawn under the supervision of an auditor from BDO. Please contact your relevant Central Lottery office for further information on the payment of prizes. Thank you all for playing responsibly, and remember, with Super 6 there are bigger jackpots and more chances to win. Our next Super 6 draw takes place on Friday, the 20th of December 2024. Until then, have yourself a wonderful evening.
You've asked for it and we've delivered. Shop and Save Supermarket at Victoria Street, Grenville, your new one-stop shop for all your grocery and household needs. Come shop and save on dry goods, fruit and vegetable. We're your ultimate meat market and supplier of household appliances. Our addition of a deli for hot meals and snacks makes us your ultimate one-stop shop. Remember, we're the place to shop and save. Come check us out today, Victoria Street, Grenville, St. Andrew.
Drug abuse.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Dr. and Call, and this evening, well, just in case you joined us late, we're talking about our health and the Christmas season, and of course, some of the extremes that we go to. Mrs. Brung is back with us. Mrs. Brung, I hope everything is okay now. Are you able to hear us well, Mrs. Brung?
I am hearing you well. I'm not sure if you're hearing me well. I kind of just got kicked off. I'm not sure. And then let me get back.
Yeah, it's not very loud, but I think our listeners can definitely hear what you're saying, and so I think this is what is most important. So before we lost you, we were talking about all of the preparations that we make at Christmas time, and I was saying to Doc, yes, it should be encouraged, but at the same time, we need to pay attention to our consumption patterns, and this is what I want you to speak on, because I think this is where it's very, very important.
Yes. Okay. So we do know that an abundance of food is prepared, and sometimes when we see the food, it's very easy for us to just want to have a little bit of everything. Over this season, the Food and Nutrition Council has been imploring on people to commit to a 1 carb per meal challenge. And I know that we've had some comments and people said, oh, it's one time a year. But this is not a challenge to restrict people as much as it is a challenge to encourage people, to help people to control what it is they're taking in. So most people don't eat 1 meal a day. So we may eat several meals a day, 2 or 3, or some people eat even more meals a day than 3 meals. Some eat 2 meals a day. So we're just asking you to be cautious about what it is you have on your plate. Now, during this season, we visit people's houses. We get invited to a number of things, and food is usually in the churches, in whatever clubs, wherever you may find yourself, food is going to be the focus. So you have to plan ahead, and don't skip your meals during the course of the day. Sometimes we know we have an event, and so we don't eat all day because we know what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of food and we're going to indulge. But it's not the best practice, particularly for persons who are dealing with chronic diseases, for people who are trying to maintain weight control, and for people who just want to not feel guilty after overindulging or feel uncomfortable after overindulging. So if you eat during the course of the day, then when you get to the event, you may not be as hungry, which means you may not have the tendency to go for everything on the table. You also fill your plate, try to look and see what vegetables are there. And by vegetables, I'm not talking about yam and dasheen and sweet potato. Those are starches just like rice and macaroni, Dr. Nixon pasta, Dr. Nixon spoke about before. Dumplings, those come into that category. But they do have a little more nutritional value and a little more fiber to them. But you want to still be able to, I'm talking about the non-starchy vegetables, what we call in Grenada greens, the green and colored vegetables. See if you can get that onto your plate first, and then fit the other things on. And try to adhere to that. Try to see if you can commit to that 1 carb meal. You can have your protein, whatever protein sources you have, but bear in mind, think about what's going to happen after. What's the end result? How am I going to feel if I do this? How am I going to feel after? If you're going to an event and there will be food and you're not certain that the people that are preparing the food are going to have things there that you would like to have on your plate, volunteer to bring that dish or a couple dishes that would fit into what you would like to eat, what you know you are supposed to be eating in order to keep yourself healthy during the season. We have cakes, we have a lot of desserts. For us, a lot of it is cake, sometimes buns, sometimes pies. People are getting into different things, cheesecake, besides our usual fruit cake and stuff like that. So if you want to indulge in a little bit of that, then you have to look at what am I going to have at the meal. Even more reason for you to stick to 1 carb meal if you know you want that piece of sweet after the meal, so that you're not going overboard, having 3 and 4 portions of starch on your plate and still wanting to have a piece of sweet afterwards and a beverage that may have sugar in it. So we have to think and act responsibly. Our health is our wealth. Without that, we have nothing. We can have all the money in the world. We can have all the biggest job in the world. But if we don't have your health, none of it, that means nothing. It has no significance, no bearing on your life. I think that sometimes we get carried away with the fact that is one dead. You have to dead. Something had to kill us, right? But we also have to think that these diseases, most of them are not just killing us. If it was just killing us and then you're dead, yes, one dead is dead, but it's a very slow process.
Yes, indeed.
Think about your family members. When we have strokes, heart attacks, things like that, and we can't do for ourselves, and it may happen. I'm not saying it may happen to the best of us and to those of us who are even trying hard, because there are different factors that come into play. But if we try and make sure that our quality of life as we get older, especially those of us who are bordering on retirement, right? You want to retire and you want to have a few good years yet. You don't want to be incapacitated, and so your quality of life. For me personally, quality of life is important. So just being alive and not being able to get around, not being able to get yourself in the shower, not being able to feed yourself, not being able to go outside and feel the breeze on your face. These are things that are important to most of us. And so if you want to keep that and keep it for as long as possible, I'm imploring to you, Christmas doesn't come once in a lifetime. Christmas comes every year as long as we have the breath of life.
Right.
And so there will always be things that we can partake of. There's always things that, and now we're not so challenged. Dr. Nixon talking about having a soda sharing for 5 children, and I could attest to that because I know what it is. Everyone take a little cup and get some. Children are having more money now. A co-worker of mine was telling me that he was reading from one of the countries, I don't want to misquote, it was either Peru or one of those countries, actually make it against the law to sell these soft drinks to children under the age of 16. You know, if something like that was to be put in place here in Grenada, we would have an uproar. But you know what? I think that sometimes when changes take place, we get upset and then we adjust, because we can do one of 2 things. We can do what we can now and have a better life going forward for ourselves, for our children, or we can enjoy everything that we can enjoy now and deal with the repercussions out. So think about your plate. If you usually have a big 12-inch or 15-inch plate, this gentleman some years ago told me, my mom never gave me anything but a platter to eat on, right? This was in another country. And if you look at your plate and you feel that I can't have, there's a lot of food here, just downsize the plate. Downsize the plate because you will know when that plate looks heaping. You will know when the prettiness on the plate. I always speak about the outside of the plate that's pretty, and that is something you're supposed to be looking at while you're dining.
Right.
It's supposed to be covered with food and particles of food once you finish eating, on the periphery of the plate. It's supposed to remain there so that you can see your food should sit in the middle of the plate. These are just some things to, think about. Trying to get some type of physical activity in. If you're usually physically active, don't stop during the festive season. Try to see how you can fit it in. After a big meal, go for a walk with the family around the neighborhood. Do something just to get some type of physical activity in. Because this is the time of year, Godfrey, when we tend to put things aside.
Yep, we do.
And put things aside. The more we put it aside, the easier it is to put it aside. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely gone, right? But something I wanted to mention quickly too is the alcohol I was starting to speak about. That
Yes.
To drink in moderation. But do we know what is considered a drink of alcohol? And how much is considered excessive? So we say about a 1.5 ounce of spirits. Most people are not going for wine, but about 5 ounces of wine, a beer, a regular beer, 12-ounce beer is a serving. Mm-hmm. If you're having in a week, you're having more than 14 of any of those in single or in combination, and that is on a consistent basis, you're drinking too much alcohol and it's time to take check. We shouldn't be consuming so much. You say 1 drink a day for a woman is what would be considered moderate. That's 7 drinks in a week. So if a woman is drinking 14 drinks in a week, and even every day, you shouldn't have to have alcohol every day. And if you're having it every day, you need to take some time to think about where you are. And remember that people with mental health, sometimes we don't talk about mental health. But people with mental health, alcohol can be a depressant. People that having mental health challenges, it can exacerbate the symptom. Hence the reason we have a lot of unfortunate things happening during the festive season.
Yeah, so indeed.
That people, just for food for thought, for people to think about. We're not trying to make you do anything. We're just giving you the information for you to process and to you to make an informed decision.
Mm-hmm. Mrs. Brown, I just want to go back a little bit on the food aspect of things, and you did mention about the carbs and the vegetables and so. In terms of the meats, because at Christmas time, people they buy their ham. Some people buy turkey. You buy your fresh meat like the pork and the beef and mutton and goat and all of these things. You have a lot, and maybe fish as well, and because all of these things are prepared at Christmas time. In terms of your meats, your vegetables and carbs, the protein. Let me refer to it as protein. Your protein and your vegetables, as compared to, let's say, your protein and carbs.
Mm-hmm. I missed a little bit of what you said.
In terms of the consumption, the protein, is it a better idea to probably consume some more meat than carbs with your vegetables?
It depends on what you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. I think everything has to be done in moderation. Carbohydrates is where you get your first line of energy for the body, right? But I think it's okay to have some carbs. I would not say no carbs, mm-hmm. but to control the amount of carbs. Your protein, you want it to be lean proteins, and especially for people who have diabetes that is uncontrolled, they really don't want to be overindulging in a lot of meat. Mm-hmm. Right? Because when meat is broken down, your kidneys have to deal with it. And if your blood sugars are out of control, it's affecting your kidneys. And if you have high blood pressure that's uncontrolled on top of that, that's also causing insult to your kidneys. So we have to do it in moderation. I mean, as I said, there's not one meal in the day. So if you have 4 meats on the table, you can choose to have 2 pieces for your lunch meal. And later on, when you have the later meal, you can choose to use the other meals. You don't have to have everything. The point is that we have gotten to a place where we have what they call portion distortion, or the seafood diet. Food is there, we have to eat it. And sometimes it takes us having a little bit of self-talk and letting ourselves, do I really, really want this? No, I don't. And hence the reason I said try not to go to events or skip meals during the course of the day waiting for that large Christmas meal. Because for the best of us, you will tend to overindulge. So you don't want to do that. You want to get up, and if you usually have breakfast, you have your breakfast. And if you usually have a lunch, even if it's a lighter lunch, you have a lighter lunch if your Christmas meal is at dinner time. If your Christmas meal is in the daytime, then you make sure you have a little something in the morning, so you don't just get up and cook. For the women and the men who are in the kitchen, cook all day. And then by the time it comes eating time, you can't feel full.
Right.
Because you're so overtly hungry. You don't want that. You're going Christmas shopping. Don't go hungry, especially if you're dealing with chronic diseases. You have to plan ahead. Because if you go to the grocery hungry, you will buy things that you don't plan on buying. You don't to buy, but you end up spending extra dollars on something that you really, under normal circumstances, would not have bought. Or you end up feeling hungry outside and going to a place to buy a food that is not fitting within your dietary needs. So it's very important for us to plan, for us to make sure that we're eating leaner cuts of meat. And I usually say to people, listen, if you cook meat and it's in a gravy, you can always separate the meat from the gravy, and while you prepare everything else, rest the gravy in your freezer or your refrigerator. The fat will tend to gel to the top, so it's easy for you to
remove it.
Yes, so there are little things that we can do to help ourselves. You're having a piece of cake, you don't necessarily have to have it with a sweet drink, because chances are, like putting the poles of 2 magnets together, same poles, and they repel. That's kind of how it works out. So you will not taste the sweetness in your drink if you're eating something sweet with it. So maybe having a flavored water, a sparkling water, a tea that you cool, maybe not necessarily drinking it hot outside is hot, but you can drink cool tea, for the people who like teas and so. To keep ourselves hydrated, that is also important. Because we're eating a lot of foods. We're eating a lot of foods that probably is outside of what the recommendations would be in terms of salt, in terms of sugar, in terms of fat. And we're not drinking water, which is the best beverage for hydrating the body. And so kidneys have to filter all that waste, but we're not giving it water. The body is 60-70% water. And if we're not putting in the fluids that the body needs to help the kidneys to flush the waste, then how is the kidney operating? How is our body operating? Right? So water is really essential to life, and I hope that we can, take that to heart.
Right, Doc. Let me bring you in here. And Ms. Brung, I think, spoke quite, importantly about some of these things that we should be paying attention to. Another concern is that of people who have chronic conditions like the diabetes and the hypertension in particular, because they want to get involved in some, extremes, they sort of put aside the medication a bit because they don't want to take medication and drink rum. So they don't take the medication and then they drink the rum, and they figure, well, after that, then they won't go back to the medication. What do you say to people who have these fancy ideas?
The ideas are very fancy. But seriously, we can mention it earlier. The truth is, you need to remain with your medication. Whatever your routine was before the Christmas time come on the thing, you have to stay. You have to exercise. You have to make sure you buy your medication before you buy all the things that don't cook. Make sure the medication is then present and have it. Because the truth is, the portion sizing is for everybody. And you may want to have a drink. If you have some alcohol, let's say you have a drink of wine. The wine is what? 140 calories, something like that. That's like having some starches, right? So you need to know that if I'm going to have a glass of wine before dinner, I'm going to have to remove some of the starch that I'm eating. You have to understand what it's called exchanging food. Okay, one thing for the other. So first of all, the medication I'm leaving out is not an option. It's not a viable option at all. Okay, whatever your routine is, where you got to walk in the morning, you have to do that, right? Because if you doing all of these things to maintain your sugar, when you're not eating a whole lot, try to imagine when you're consuming a whole lot. If you don't take your medication, you don't exercise, whether it's injectable insulin tablets, whether it's a cholesterol medication, and then you imbibe and consume all of those foods, your sugar is going to spike because I really don't have anything that keeps your sugar from spiking. Plus, you're eating foods that will make your food spike further. So, at great risk of creating complications in your disease pattern. Right? We're really at great risk for making ourselves iller than we really want to be. Well, we want to be ill. Okay, so you have to remember to keep whatever principles you have been applying before.
Right.
One of the things I was reading there is a whole buddy system. You know, you and your friends say, look, let's try and help each other out this Christmas. We're not going to have all of this, right? Or you and somebody in the house, ask somebody to monitor you. Some of us take umbrage when we are asked, when somebody says, mommy, or auntie or uncle, you're not supposed to be doing X, Y, Z, remember. People get very upset. But I think your family really should encourage you in order for you to be able to stay within the normal limits of normal behavior limits. Okay? I'm not saying not have a piece of cake. I'm just saying if a piece of cake, you have to take out the starch in your next meal. Or you can't have a glass of wine as well. All of those things. And those are things we have to practice every day in order that when times like stressful times and there's that kind of influence from other people for you to do those, to take, drink more, have a drink. Right, you may not be able to contain yourself anymore. So we all have to be buddies and help out each other to remain within the normal practices and also to remain here still alive, because we see increase in strokes, we see increase in diabetic comas, we see people becoming very sick, okay, when they do not contain what they consume, especially if they refuse to take the medication.
Right. So
don't be taken aback by that.
Yeah. Quickly, and then we're getting close to wrap up, but someone taking medication, so you continue your normal routine. So let's say you're taking your hypertension medication in the morning. Fine, and you do it, but later on in the day you come across a couple of friends, they're having a drink, and you decide you're gonna, maybe have a two with them. Is that a good idea? The
medications that you can't take alcohol with are clearly indicated from the pharmacist.
Right.
Right? Clearly indicated. But I also think that we need to come to a point where we're sufficiently disciplined to maintain our well-being and our health and say, boy, I'm going to have to pass. I'll have a glass of seltzer water with you. Or I'll have something, you understand? I'm going to have something else with you. But I'm not going to touch that alcohol. It's just not good for me at this time.
Right.
And people will respect you. The ones who don't is because they're drunk and belligerent. Say, oh, come on, man. No. We also have to respect those of us who don't have diseases that require that level of control, have to have respect for the people who have control and don't try to put them down, bully them, inveigle them, whatever. We need to respect them and ensure that at the end of the season, we're still all together and all healthy.
Right, lovely.
Also, if they eat,
also one more thing, Lydia. We also need to remember that we have to monitor our pressure and monitor our glucose, especially in those two diseases. If you have children who have diabetes, you should be monitoring them. Right? Should be monitoring their blood sugar level and stuff to make sure that everything is fine. Because you don't want your children to go outside and eat when they meet the other little friends who have sweetie in their bag and chewing gum and all the treats that they get from school party and stuff that they decide to come and share with their cousins.
Right. Mrs. Brown, you were about to say something.
Yeah. Maybe do a little extra check-in of the blood sugar. And also for people who are drinking alcohol, if you have a drink, you can alternate drinks so that you're not having every drink is an alcoholic drink.
Right.
Right? We also have to bear in mind that people, particularly persons who are requiring insulin, and some people who are on medications for that are causing the body to secrete a little more insulin, that they need to be mindful that they need to eat before consuming alcohol because they risk the chance of their blood sugars dropping. The body is a very smart piece of machinery, and it recognizes when we're introducing something to the body that is not good, namely alcohol. And so the body, your liver is supposed to keep your blood sugar, give you a little bit more glucose into your bloodstream if your blood sugar is dropped. If you have alcohol in your system, your liver's first protocol is to get that, clear that alcohol. So it's not going to be focusing, it's kind of going to hold up that generation of the insulin, of the glucose, sorry. And so there's a great chance that your blood sugar will drop.
Okay.
So taking medications that are what we call insulin secretagogues or insulin that are causing you to produce more insulin, or people who are actually taking insulin shots, that they need to be mindful of that.
Right. Okay. Lovely. Very interesting. I wish we had more time to talk, but we definitely out of time. So, Ms. Brown, I'll give you a minute just to probably quickly share with us a couple healthy choices that we can opt for over the Christmas season.
Healthy tips. I guess that's what you said. You got a little stack.
Yeah. There was a stop.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to encourage people to make sure that you eat during the day. Do not save your appetite for later in the day. Try to have a beverage that is non-caloric, non-sweetened when you're having your meal. If you're having a beverage with your meal, preferably you have a beverage after, but if you choose to have it with your meal, try and have something that's non-caloric, that does not contain sugar. Be mindful about your portioning of your food. Mindful eating is important during this time. And even for those of us who are not yet affected by any type of diseases, because we want to make sure that we stay healthy, right? Make sure that we keep ourselves active and we keep ourselves hydrated. And hydrate yourself with something that does not contain any calories, again, namely water, tea, or something like that. A flavored water, you can put some lemon juice in it, or any fruit that you have available. Let's try to do this well, and so that we don't place a burden on the healthcare system for 2025. Let's start it off.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Mrs. Brown. And of course, let me also take the opportunity to wish you all the best for the season. I hope you do have a wonderful Christmas, and I'm looking forward to having you back very early in the new year, so we can continue sharing information with our public. Doc, your minute. What would you say?
So I just want to tell everybody that this is a good time to spend healthy time, healthy moments with your relatives and your friends. And so in doing so, you have to prioritize your own health, right? There's no need to compromise the routines that you had. Yes, enjoy the food. Yes, enjoy the fellowship and all the rest. But remember that you still want to go beyond. Remember that we have to help each other to make sure that we're well at the end of transgression. Just start over. It's important that you always know that I can start doing this. Younger generations who already have all their challenges, right? All the nutritional challenges, all the nutritional challenges, all the problems that they're at greater risk for disease. Do you know that we have 4 times as many diabetics as we had 10 years ago, despite all the interventions we've had? It's time for people to start acting on the information that's given. And this is a good time. I want everybody to have a wonderful Christmas, right? But have a responsible Christmas. And have a responsible Christmas that will lead you into a serious lifestyle behaviors, serious behaviors that will make us not disappear from this earth so quickly, that will make us enjoy a better quality of life, to live longer, to be able to teach our children and grandchildren how they themselves should make choices for a healthy lifestyle, is what it's all about. Again, 2 seconds. Don't drink and drive. Please don't drink and drive. Please make sure that our children are not becoming involved in use of alcohol and vaping and tobacco and those things that are down, really slippery slopes. Make sure that we do not imbibe enough to get drunk, so that we are at risk for sexual assault, physical assault, and all the rest of it. At the end of the day, let's do whatever we think is necessary, what we know is necessary, so that Christmas can be a time when we can reunite with all our friends and family and come out unscathed as far as possible. Be safe in your houses. Remember to lock your houses. We don't want home invasions. We don't want people coming to break into your house and steal your gifts and Grinch in your house. But be safe. Be safe. Lock your door. But you have to be sober to take those responsible positions and to ensure that your family is safe. Do not let your children go out if you don't know who the drivers are or where they're going. It's very important that we protect our young people. Or that they chaperone their environments where children still need to be chaperoned, right? Just make sure you know where your kids are, and encourage and let them recognize that they too must have a sense of responsibility. I'm not driving with you if you're drunk. Call an Uber or whatever they call it here. Lyft? Whatever you have here, there's a way to get home. And if you can't get home, if you feel too drunk to drive, sit down in your car and sleep. When you get up in the morning, you drive home. Call somebody and tell them, make sure your phone is charged, make sure that you're in. All the safety measures you have to take out there so that you can get home safely. Yes, and to everybody who's been with us this year, Merry Christmas. Be merry, but be happy, be responsible. And we look forward to next year, application of all that we've learned, and then some. And to you, Godfrey and Mrs. Brown, it's been a wonderful year. Continue to work hard to keep our nation as healthy as possible. Thank you, people who've listened to us, me and Godfrey, boringly all year, and still here tonight. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Yes, indeed. Doc, thank you so very much. And it's always such a pleasure having you here, as we chat and share information. It's always a wonderful pleasure. I wish you all the best for the season, and I'm really looking forward to us being back here to continue to do what we do. Share information so that people can upgrade, so to speak, their wellness, using your words. So thank you again, and of course this is our last live program for the year, folks. We'll be back with you in January, so enjoy your holidays. Please do not overindulge and pay very, very close attention to what is most important, your health. Thank you.
And remember one more thing, remember that to share, we have to share what we have. We have a lot, and there are people who have nothing. So let's all be happy and look out for our brothers.
Yes, indeed. Thank you again, Mrs. Brown. Thank you very much. And my best wishes to your team at the Food and Nutrition Council. Yes?
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, folks. All the best, and do have a good night.
Good night.
Drug abuse, cancer,
measles, diabetes, AIDS, Easy.